Um,
So focus on the dress and the video we'll get to a second, okay? You can always do your content after.
no, this is
It's very low back.
Remember what we're all saying too, to be honest. I really like this.
So as much as you like slits and I like slits on you, I feel like you're
You wearing a reception dress?
I don't know if I'm gonna do that yet.
Or no, you wear a
haven't
rehearsal
decided-
dinner dress?
I haven't decided if I'm gonna just do comfy to dance around
But no,
or a
rehearsal
dress.
dinner. You doing a rehearsal dinner dress?
Oh, that day
you
prior?
just
Put a slit in that.
yeah.
Give up the slit thing.
I walked in the room and I walked over to the woman that was sent to my place of business, and I went to introduce myself. I said, "Hi, how are you? My name is Mel. Nice to meet you. What is your name?" She scrunched up her face. She did a face scrunch. And then she told me her name. I ignored it, right? It's like, okay, maybe she has something in her eye. I don't know. I walk away. I go and I get a couple paperwork because I was just stopping by the place of business to just grab a couple of documents so I can get out of there. So I go back to her and I tell her, okay, well, just in case you didn't know, if you want some coffee, we have coffee over here. And then she scrunched up her face again. And then I looked at her and I tilted my head to the side and I said, "Why are you looking at me like that?" She said, "Huh?" I said, "Your face. Why are you looking at me like that? Did I say something to offend you?" She's like, "Huh?" I said, "Yeah, I'm asking you because I keep myself in line. Did I say something to offend you that would trigger that?" And she's like, no, not at all. And then she immediately fixed her face and I nodded and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, she's socially awkward. She doesn't know how to compose herself correctly. Her body language is off. Now, obviously, I'm not going to have her return here anymore, but clearly her body language is off. She is just awkward. Again, it's some women, I don't even think they realize that they're doing it. It's the same thing with some men that will like stare you down without blinking. And they think that, I don't even know what they're thinking, but this needs to be talked about. It's crazy. So I see people are still being socially awkward. You know, I watched that video, shout out to the creator of that video, and I've realized that a lot of rude behaviors that we see people exhibit is actually social awkwardness. So here's what I need women to understand. Most women don't view women as adults. Most women view other women as their peers. Women view men as adults. Women view men as authoritative figures. Women view men as powerful. Women view men as, respectable and honorable. Women respect men. Women do not respect other women. So when a woman meets another woman, her behaviors can sometimes be a little bit cringe, like what you saw in that video, because there's no respect there. That's why I said sometimes in the past, my personality is definitely an acquired taste for certain women because I know these invisible rules. You cannot go into the real world addressing every woman in the way that that woman addressed the bride in that video. So essentially, if there was no video, you would think that that was a mom talking to her child. It's not until you look at the video, you're like, whoa, she was talking to a woman like the woman was her child. She literally told her, put the phone down, like giving her these demands. And we'll also talk about this in the corporate Spartan masterclass on Sunday. A lot of women that are in these roles, they are not trained on how to talk to people. And I'm not saying that men don't struggle with social awkwardness too, because some men do, but women have more of a social awkwardness problem than men because women women just think that they can just do as they please. It's the weirdest thing. Like they can just say whatever, comment whatever, do whatever, come at whoever. Like they think that there's no repercussions there. So when, and you guys have experienced this, think about how the women at your local doctor's office treats you. Like it's this chip on their shoulder. And I personally think it comes from insecurity. I think the more insecure a woman is, the ruder she will be because she has this innate desire to prove that she's not the one to be messed with, but she's not intimidating people. She's just looking strange and awkward. You're not intimidating anyone. So, and it's like, when you watch that video, you're like, wait a minute, like, we'll talk about that in the corporate Spartan masterclass. I don't know if she's the owner, and I wouldn't be surprised if she was the owner, But you cannot speak to customers that way because they can go online and leave a bad review and get you fired. And you have to be careful if you are a woman in any service industry to treat people respectfully and kindly, because they can go online and leave a bad review or send an email. So an attitude check is very much needed if you want to progress in life, because social skills is going to help you get ahead in life. And a lot of women and men struggle with social awkwardness because they're just not respectful. It's something that is probably wasn't done when, there was a time I had a client that I was working with. This is outside of anything social media related. And I was talking to this guy. He was a male client. And this guy, he just starts dropping F-bomb after F-bomb after F-bomb. I said, excuse me. And he's like, yes. I said, I'm working with you, but I'm not your friend. Please don't please do not call me on my phone and start dropping F-bombs back to back. That's a no-go for me, sir. And I had to let him know, because clearly he has no home training. If he had home training, he would know that that's disrespectful and you don't speak to a woman that way. No man should feel comfortable enough to throw 15 F-bombs. I'm telling you, it was at least 15 F-bombs in a 5-minute span. Maybe he was drunk, because I know he liked to drink. But it's awkward. When you struggle with social awkwardness, you're lowering your social value in front of people. You're not getting invited into places because you simply do not know how to compose yourself in a manner that is appropriate. So, social awkwardness, that's what you just saw in that video. I know it looks like she was being rude. But in reality, it's social awkwardness. Social awkwardness is when you don't know how to talk to people. It's when you're inappropriate and you're approaching somebody in a manner that is unwarranted for the relationship that you have for that person or with that person. For example, I went to the mall a couple of weeks ago and I purchased like a 2-piece outfit, and I brought it to the front and I told the lady hello, and she said hello, and she started scanning my outfit. Mind you, this is the first time I'm seeing this woman. And she said, looks at the outfit, and she's like, oh, yes, bitch. This looks good. Yes. And I looked at her, and I looked up all confused, and I said, please don't call me a bitch. Please don't call me out of my name. Please don't call me a bitch. And she's like, oh, no. I didn't mean it that way. I was saying it in this way. But I don't know you, though. That's awkward. That's rude. When you don't know someone, you don't talk to them like you know them. And that's very different from having a comforting spirit. There's nothing wrong with having a comforting spirit, but it's a completely different story when you are reacting to somebody in a way that is unwarranted for your relationship with that person. So I am a customer. You do not call me a bitch. I do not know you. But when somebody is socially awkward, they don't understand that they have to assess settings. Where am I? Am I at the club? Am I inside of a church house? Am I inside of a restaurant? Is what I'm about to do proper or appropriate from the setting I'm in? Then you got to assess relations. How close am I with this person? Is this person my friend? Is this person my lover? Is this person my family? You need to look at all of those factors before determining how you are going to act. Okay? So you cannot call me the B word because I'm a customer. You do not know me. This is the first time I'm seeing you. And the problem with a lot of social awkwardness, especially in the community of women, is how quickly women get comfortable. That is the problem. You cannot get comfortable too fast. That's why when women meet men, they give the man their whole life story on the first date. And now this guy knows exactly how to manipulate you because you got comfortable with him from the first time that you met him, right? So social awkwardness is you being inappropriate for the situation, the setting, or the person at hand. So that woman was talking to the bride like she was a child, okay? Like she was a child. That is how she was speaking to the bride. like she was a little girl. If there was no video and there was just audio, you would think that she was talking to her daughter. That's how inappropriate it was. And that also goes back to bullying. Women who struggle with insecurities, and we all have insecurities. Doesn't mean we're insecure, but we all have insecurities. Women who struggle with deep-rooted insecurities like to bully women on sight. The minute they meet a woman, they want to bully them. It's very weird when you see in the service industry the way that women speak to other women with this aggression. It's almost like they want to dominate the woman that's in front of them. So she was talking to this girl like she was her daughter. That video alone showed me, okay, she's an insecure woman. She's insecure. She doesn't like herself. She's insecure. She doesn't like other women. She feels slighted around other women because if she did, that is not the way that she would address her, one. And she's also disrespectful because that is not how you speak to a woman in front of her mother. And if I was that girl's mom, I would have checked that lady really quickly and she would have heard my mouth that day, because you are not going to disrespect me. And I think that these women get away with these things because the world allows them to, knowing that the behavior is inappropriate and it's awkward. So social awkward behaviors. Number one is unwarranted aggression. Some people, and I know that it's some people, it's not their faults, because again, I've gotten to know socially awkward behaviors. Some people, when they're talking in a very loud tone. And I think they don't even realize that they are. Like, have you ever met those people at the grocery store and they're like loud and you can hear them 5 aisles down? I think that they don't realize how loud they are. They're not conscious of their tone. I always tell people, if you're not recording, if you're not like on a stage, if you're not like at a seminar, if you're not giving a presentation, why are you yelling? That's awkward. Why are you screaming? You're supposed to just be talking. So socially awkward behaviors is unwarranted aggression, talking very loud, screaming, being rude for no reason. A lot of women and men in service industries, they just have these very rude, nasty personas about them, and they don't realize that you're making people uncomfortable for no reason. Not saying that you're responsible for people's comfort, no, but you're being abrasive without cause, okay? This is also another thing that I've noticed is for social awkwardness, socially awkward behaviors about unwarranted aggression, is women who scrunch up their faces. Like, you know how you can be talking to a woman and like her face will scrunch up, and it's like she doesn't even realize that she's doing it because she's got away with doing it for so long and it's so rude, and she doesn't even realize that it's rude, but because nobody has ever told her, the behaviors continue. And I remember there was a time I was in a work setting and I went up to one of my coworkers because I had to ask her a question about the documents that she gave me. There was a code that I didn't understand. So I walked up to her, and let's call her Abigail. I'm like, hey, Abigail, can you help me with this for just a second? Because this is not a code that I'm familiar with. Maybe it's a new one. And as I'm saying this, I'm looking at her and her face is scrunched up. And I look at her and I'm like, why are you looking at me like that? Why are you looking at me like that? And then she kind of snapped out of it and relaxed her face muscles, because I'm like, why are you scrunching up your face? Did I say something rude? Did I say something? Oh, no, you didn't. Okay, so then why are you looking at me like that? Those type of behaviors, you see, those behaviors will mess you up in life. You have to grow out of that kind of stuff, because one day you're going to scrunch up your face at a very important person for no reason and lose your job. Okay, because that same colleague, the owner of the company, came one day and she did that face scrunch and she was out of a job by the end of that day. You have to control yourself. Okay, socially awkward behaviors is people who are entitled, people who feel like they're entitled to your energy. It's like this weird entitlement. So let me give you some examples. I went to a doctor's appointment 2 weeks ago, And when I got to the doctor's appointment, the lady that I was communicating with via email is the nurse that I always see. And for some reason, I realized that when I got there and I saw the nurse that was working with me and helping me, I'm like, I don't think that's the lady that I usually see. She looks different. But this lady's rough. Okay, she's rude. She's rough. She's like slamming things. You know, she's getting the machine. She's being rough with the machine. She's clicking the buttons really hard. That aggressive behavior that a lot of women have by default because they are angry about something or they feel insecure. So they feel like I have to be tough to everybody in order, nobody's going to mess with me. Like, and they think it works, but it doesn't. It doesn't work at all. Right. So she's being all rough or whatever, and she's working with me or whatever. And then I sit down with her and I'm like, okay, well, I have a question on one thing. So I'm going through the pamphlet and I'm asking her a question on one thing. And I look up at her and she's scrunching her face at me. And I told her, why are you looking at me like that? And she's like, oh, no. I said, you know what? It's okay. It's fine. Let me just give me everything that I need. Give me the pamphlet. Give me the paperwork. And it's okay. Don't worry about it. So then she's like, oh, no. I just, like, did I do something? I said, did you do something? She's like, yeah. I said, you have a very bad attitude. I don't know if anybody's ever told you that. And she's like, me? I said, yeah. It's like really bad. Like it's really like you're like a hazard for this place because you're going to make business go away. Like your attitude, it's unbearable. It's I don't know if you can work with people because you have to have a certain level of polish to be able to work in places like this. And you just don't have it. And she's like, oh, no, well, I was having a bad day. I said, but ma'am, your bad day is not my problem, though. You're in the real world, ma'am. This is not high school. This is not Sunday service. You're in the real world. Your bad day is not my problem. I'm a patient. I'm very understanding, but your aggression is something that you have to get under your control because I'm not going to say anything to your boss, but not every patient is going to be as understanding as me. It's terrible to me that you would even bring that up as if that matters. This is the real world where people don't care about none of that. You have to make sure that your life is in order. And the problem is women get so many passes in the real world that they don't really take responsibility. There's always some type of excuse of some sort. You having a bad week is not an excuse for you to be aggressive towards a customer. Do I think she was having a bad week? No. I think she's socially awkward. I think she's socially awkward. And I think that she just doesn't have any control of her emotions. I think she's hyper insecure. And as a result of that, it comes out in her aura, in her essence. Okay, so being nasty, unwarranted, shows a level of mental dwarfness. If you're going to be rude or nasty, have a reason for it, right? Like, don't be rude and nasty for no reason. A lot of women and men, they're just rude and it's like by default. Like they don't even have a reason for it. And you want to know why? Because the world has let them get away with that for so long that they think it's normal. They think it's normal to just be flat out rude to people. They think it's normal to just give people an attitude. That's not normal to be mean to people when they didn't do anything to you, right? But these people, they're not polished, and it's okay because they'll never get into high society. That place is not for them because they don't know how to talk to people. They don't know how to communicate with people. They don't know how to communicate effectively. So those people, they stay at the same level all their life because they don't know how to speak to people. If you don't know how to communicate, a lot of women, I've met certain women where I'm like, girl, love it. Your social skills are on point. Even ladies that I have girl chats, guy chats too, I commend them at the end of the call. Some of you guys, I've commended you and I'm like, your skills, like we need to get you in some major rooms because your social skills are so on point that every time we have a call, I literally enjoy the call and I even prolong it because you're so pleasant to speak to. That is a gift that is somebody that has worked on being respectful. A lot of women are so rough around the edges. Men are rough around the edges. Some men don't know how to speak to women. And it's like, if you don't get that under wraps, you're going to be in a whole lot of trouble. A lot of people dealing with social awkwardness, dealing with them feels like a marathon. Another socially awkward behavior, the social awkwardness, is oversharing. There are certain people where you can ask them, what's your favorite food? They'll go from Africa to Jamaica to Haiti to Japan to Egypt to Iran to answer that one question. Do you understand do you want to know why a lot of people avoid certain people? It's because speaking to you feels like running a marathon. You're not very clear and concise. You're very all over the place. You have to master the art of being a conversationalist, meaning when somebody questions you, answer it clear and concise. Some people, and if you have to elaborate further, say, let me elaborate, and then you'll continue to go further. Some people, clear and concise they're all over the place. And then a lot of times, even some women will say, oh, I feel like my man doesn't listen to me. Well, when you're talking, it's 15 stories in one story. So he doesn't even know what you're talking about. By the end of the 20 minutes, he doesn't even know what you're talking about, because you've went in so many directions, ma'am, that by the time the conversation comes to an end, he doesn't know what you're talking about. He just zoned out. 2 minutes in, he zoned out. That is also a form of social awkwardness, when you don't know how to get to the point. And it got to certain points where I would deal with certain people and I'm like, okay, can we get to the point, please? And I wasn't being rude. It's just, I really need you to get to the point. Like, we only have a certain amount of time. I have other paperwork to do. Like, please just tell me what it is, right? But some people, it's difficult for them to do that because they're talking in circles. And sometimes they talk in circles to manipulate you. Narcissists like to talk in circles because they don't want you asking certain questions. So they talk in circles. Another form of socially awkward behaviors is seeing everybody as your peer. Not everybody is your peer. Okay, not everybody is your equal. So you're not going to address your boss the way that you would address your homie. You're not going to address your supervisor the way you would address your homegirl. You have to learn that not everybody is your peer. Not everybody is your peer. This actually reminds me. I had this one coworker. This lady was, she was a girl, like a young girl. She was a beautiful smile, well presented, dressed nice, but her social skills were in the trash bin. The way she would talk to clients, I would always have to step in because I don't think she realized that she's being rude. Like, I really genuinely don't think she realized it. So when I hear the scuttlebutt, I have to walk over and smooth over the waters because she's being rude. Like, there was a time I was walking by, I heard her speaking to a client and she's like, what did she say? She's like, not right now. And I walk over and I'm like, hi, how are you? I say hi to both of them. I said, hi, could I help you, sir? He's like, I'm just looking to do. I said, okay, absolutely. So just write down exactly the one that you want. And then I will go upstairs. I will speak to management and I will see if we're able to provide that service. And he's like, whoo, he took a deep breath and he's like, thank God you came down here. Because she was like yelling at him and I guess maybe she cannot work under pressure. I don't know, but it was completely inappropriate. So socially awkward people need to understand that not everybody is your peer. So you have to be careful the way that you're speaking to people. Another example of this is when I went to the doctor's office. Socially awkward behavior. I went to the doctor's office. This was another doctor's office, my eye doctor. And as I'm looking down at my computer, just typing up, just editing while I'm at the doctor's office, the lady catches my eye and she says, come here. I worked in HR for several years, so in this class, I am going to teach you guys tips, tricks, and valuable information so you can be a corporate Spartan. It is not easy working in corporate America, but if you have the right office politics and you know your rights legally, that will definitely help you have a more enjoyable experience. So this class, I will be teaching you from an HR standpoint, what to do, what not to do, and how to jump paths so that you can get the promotions that you always wanted, what to look out for and what not to look out for in office politics. Also, next class on power. Power is very, very important. This class is not about feminine power. It's about power in life and having staying power. To get through life, when you're dealing with humans, men and women, you need to learn how to make sure that you have staying power, and you need to learn how to make sure that all of the moves that you make sense so you can always be 25 steps ahead of everyone else, because life is chess, not checkers.